All right, everyone, and hello, and welcome back to part 3 of the Dual Blade Compendium, at least as it stands on release. Who knows, Title Update 1 will probably introduce some new weapons, but a lot of the information will still be the same, so happy to have you here. Probably going to go through the remaining elements, being water, ice, and dragon. Not that there's too much to talk about in terms of dragon, but there is a thing worth mentioning. By popular demand, we are going to go over Demon Dance. So here we are, yellow sharpness, so a 1.0 modifier for raw, 100 attack. So Demon Dance is a pretty nice move. It hits a total of 16 times for a combined total of 135% of whatever your full attack value is. Each one of those hits gives the full elemental value. So I know we've been comparing some things to Sixfold Strike in the past and be like, oh, this is good or this is good. Now with Demon Dance, we have an attack that not only attacks 16 times, so applying tons of elemental damage, we also have something that applies full elemental damage. So as we're going to be going through the various comparisons, going through water and then ice and then finally with dragon, I'm going to go ahead and show those values as well. And when I release these spreadsheets for you guys to play around with, you'll see them in there to help make your own conclusions later on as well. Okay, first up on the list is the Mizu tree for water. This one is a little sad, as some people have speculated. The fact that it's called Morning Dawn 2 implies that it will be getting a future upgrade, which for now I would say it pretty badly needs. Its raw is definitely below average. Its element is very low for being element, even with getting +6. 10% affinity doesn't really help it all that much. Level 1 slot doesn't help it all that much, and it's got a very tiny amount of blue. Can't say I spent a lot of time min-maxing it. I did get it to 246 on a Sixfold Strike, which is pretty below a Nargacuga. Catches up a little bit with Demon Dance, but even then, unless you truly love the way this weapon works, and I promise you there were other stylish weapons to use other than these in the water line, I would say wait until there's another upgrade. Holy Saber elements actually end up really pulling their weight a lot more than I thought they would. First of all, they look great. Second of all, 190 raw is fine for dual blades. You don't see that many other dual blades getting that much more than 200, so that's acceptable. Plenty of blue sharpness. Not going to really need to run any sharpness skills other than maybe some speed sharpening. Has 23 combined water, which is a little bit on the lower end, but not completely unusable, and a level 2 slot, which definitely helps with building up its raw. On a standard hit zone of either 60% raw and 20% element, it actually does compete, if not beat, Nargacuga dual blades. It would obviously fall back quite a bit if you were to be using the piercing bind, but otherwise, if you like the way these things look, they are definitely acceptable. I don't think you'd be holding yourself or anyone else back in a hunt if you were to use them. Gonna go ahead and keep putting the world design team on blast. So many of the comments from the last video was like, oh, in the interview, the Rise graphic designers said that they respected the world weapon designers. I don't know, maybe it's like modern art. Is this like modern art? Like somebody just like shot at a blank canvas with like a paintball gun, except rather than like paint, it was like mud. And rather than like a canvas, it was like a rusty shed. And somebody's like, oh, beautiful. I love it. I love the way it looks. It speaks so much to the modern human condition. I don't know. You're going to want to build this for element. You could theoretically drop down attack from the bone tree, and that does work. That's better than almost anything else, but element does give it more. Probably going to need some sort of sharpness. Going to have to run like a razor sharp, or at the very least speed sharpen, if not even a point or two of protective polish to let that go. It does beat out Holy Sabers by a bit, even with that in mind, but fortunately, these are not the dual blades I recommend. Almujan is here to save the day. These things look amazing. All of Almudron's weapons and armors look terrific. I ran the Palamute armor on my dog for a while, 170 raw, of course, makes it go, on the lower end of raw, lowest end of raw for almost all the weapons I use. Plenty of blue sharpness here. Speed sharpen is fine. You don't need anything else. You don't even really need to worry about having 3, but you will. 29 water gets up to 35. In the future, theoretically, if we had something that had plenty of 25% hit zone water spots, elemental exploit is also a possibility. It would work on Anjanath's head, but it does not work on his legs, so I'm not sure if I'd like it there. It would work on Toby's head. I do not believe it works on his tail, so it does not work there. So I'm not sure if I'd really recommend it for Anjanath or Toby, but you never know in the future. Could be a case to be using it. It would be better than Water Boost too. Level 2 slot and a level 1 slot. And I love these guys. They definitely outperform Nargacuga. And I think the real trick was putting together a set that had, well, I don't know that it needed attack boost 7, but we could fit attack boost 7. We got it on there. Let's go ahead and show the decos here. So I'm using just I don't want to say it's standard, but not completely uncommon weakness exploit 2 talisman here. You'd have to replace Skaja and then find out attack here. Otherwise, if you didn't have that, or I guess more crit. Attack, water, water, attack, water, sharpener. Sharpener brace because I have room. I guess if you didn't have a slot here, you could put the other grinder here. I just put brace on. You could put whatever you want there though. Okay, so this is a relatively easy one. Only 2 ice dual blades to even consider. One is barely viable. The other one is one of the best elemental dual blades in the game. Let's start with this one first. Barioth dual blades look great. End up rampage scaling up to 190, which is fine. 190 is fine raw. Good amount of blue sharpness. Don't really need anything to really help maintain that. 20 ice is very low. Barely qualifies as an ice weapon, really. I mean, it's okay, but you would expect something with like lower than average raw like that. Oh, I guess it's kind of average raw at 190 to be better than that. 20% affinity doesn't hurt it. In fact, that puts us kind of in the case of where we're going to want to start. If we are building for it, we really want to use the Remobra suit. Assuming we're also building for other crit, we get up to 80% on weak spots, 100% whenever latent power goes off. So for an average of 90%. Huge amount of level 1 slots. You're not going to have any issue getting ice attack and speed sharpening 3, plus literally anything else you want. Stun resistance, flinch free, defense boost. It doesn't matter. That being said, it 1-for-1 falls behind a little bit compared to Nargacuga in a 6-fold strike. Only pulls ahead slightly in a demon dance, but considering that normally if you're doing a demon dance, you're doing a piercing bind anyways, Nargacuga would likely end up pulling away in that regard. Which brings us back to, and actually we're going to go ahead and throw our set on here. We're going to have a couple sets. So the ice line, Gossaraga line, whatever you want to call it, ends up being able to be built a couple different ways. So I'm going to show the try-hard set first because this has got the biggest number. I don't know if this is even the way that I'm going to play it regularly. Because you can build this a number of different ways, but if you're a try-hard player, going for a record, you've got yourself some wetfish you're ready to use, you don't mind sharpening when you need to, you got yourself a protective polish 2 deco, or charm that is. This kicks ass. This gets us a total demon dance of 519, total 6-fold strike of 327. It's actually kind of amazing. Now, what really makes it so good is the fact that with just 1 point of handicraft, we're able to get it into blue. And while I normally haven't been that big of a fan of speed sharpen sets for protective polish, I feel like 2 points of speed sharpen, if you eat for polisher with 2 points of protective polish, is just enough to make it work. The big issue here is like my talisman is pretty good. I've got a level 2 deco, a level 1 slot, and I'm able to get it up to attack boost 4. That really sends it over the edge. Some people want to know if running this with Bludgeoner is viable, it's still better than running Nargacuga against things that are weak to ice. A lot of people seem to get excited about Bludgeoner for some reason. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like, it's nice seeing a big number, but Bludgeoner is just a very weak stopgap. It's not as much damage as Blue Sharpness. It's definitely not as much damage for Blue Sharpness as it relates to Element. But if you don't have a good talisman, you know, you can use it to make it work while you still continue to get talismans. Even in this configuration, you're still doing a considerably larger amount of damage than Nargacuga in both Sixfold Strike as well as Demon Dance. Falling behind whenever you're in Blue Sharpness compared to our other setup, but it is still definitely viable. It's cool seeing, you know, 7 in attack boost, all that crit eye, and everything else. All right, we are gonna blast through these Dragon Dual Blades. Our best one isn't even that good. So we'll go over the other even worse options first. We've got these Alacanth insect blades. Just straight up worse than the Fortis Gran. So no reason to use those. As your Elder Blades, I mean, 16 Dragon barely counts as a dragon weapon. So I guess you don't have to worry about sharpness. All right, so Fortis Gran. White sharpness is possible. If you're using protective polish and you're doing like a really, really sweaty build. I cheated a little bit with the damage numbers here. This is against Rathalos' head. And on Rathalos' head specifically, if you don't mind using Wetfish or gimping the build a little bit more, in which case this thing would have lower damage, so you'll have the spreadsheets yourself. You can play around with it however you do it to see what's worth using on Rathalos' head. It's okay. The other monster that will not be named, not worth using them on. That monster is mostly raw weak, so focus on using raw damage on that one. Yeah, I mean, you could switch this around if you know, it's hard though. You don't really want to drop attack boost 4. There's really no other easy way to get more protective polish on. So it's just a little bit of a struggle. This is it. 3-part series on the Dual Blades. Really a lot of work done. Hopefully this is done a little bit to encourage people to start making some elemental builds and whatnot. You know, for a while there, a solid week, everyone's like, Narga meta only. I use Narga weapons because they let me max out my attack. And like, I get it. We're still trying to figure out motion values. Narga is always a good choice. It does not stop being a good choice. Even with dual blades, you know, especially if you're really good at landing piercing binds and you're constantly landing them on a very raw weak hit zone, you might find that your play is actually better just using them. For my build though, at least with my talismans, it's actually kind of a little annoying. I can't really fit Razor Sharp on them because I want to run Crit Boost 3. So even though I've got Speed Sharpen 3, I feel like I run out of that white sharpness pretty quickly, at least compared to a lot of the other dual blades that I have. As it is though, I enjoy building elemental builds. I enjoy them even more when I'm not just building them because they look good. I enjoy them when they actually perform well. And I can say that at least for, as the game stands right now, fire, ice, water, and thunder, we have choices that have really good matchups across the board. And it was fun doing this. You know, we learned a lot along the way. Sixfold Strike is, you know, kind of like an interesting combo that definitely scales more for raw. However, lots of other attacks you have, a lot of your early attacks in your sixfold combo, as well as, you know, your Demon Dance, some of your aerial attacks, things like that, really scale very nicely with Element. And I don't really see that changing. If I were to say one disappointment about Dual Blades is, you know, we have some choices that have Elemental Exploit, but they're just not quite at the level they need to be, where I would really want to use them on a regular basis. But hopefully that'll change. Hopefully that'll change in the update. I know these Almudrons have elemental exploits, so we'll see. Anyone else comes along with Chameleos, that would be cool. If not in April, then maybe May or June. Who knows? I know they're planning for at least 2 other major title updates as they go on and complete the game. Funny thing about Tobikadachi here, you know, head takes, what is it, like, it's around like 45% or so raw and 30% element. Tail takes like 65% raw, 20% element. Almadron still does pretty well, but I think a piercing bind with Nargacuga actually probably does end up doing extra damage. I'm not going to, Jesus, help me. I don't want to go through and calculate even that. But do know that piercing bind is interesting. Crits don't affect piercing bind. Element doesn't affect piercing bind. I don't know if sharpness plus raw affect piercing bind, but definitely it's mostly a product of raw. Maybe there'll be someday an addendum we will do part 4 of the Dual Blade Compendium. As it is for now, I'm not planning on any other major deep dives like this exactly in the same level that I did for this one. Either there will be very much more condensed information there, or we'll just do like one video at a time. You know, I'll show off the build that I'm using that I've optimized, and then I'll show a hunt like that. Certainly a lot easier to put together and put out, but Dual Blades seem to be one of the most popular Dual Blades seem to be one of the most popular weapons in Rise, and I've certainly enjoyed playing them, so I thought it'd be fun to put together this guide, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments below. You can also check me out every day, twitch.tv/SDShepherd. It's where you can check me out. Stream there every day, and I'd love to see you there. Build sets, check math, run monsters on a daily basis. So, always good content. Putting together those speed runs as well. Probably do another one tomorrow, or if you're watching this on YouTube today. Now look at that. Our little guy's almost... He's actually been ready for a little bit. I just missed the cat saying it. Make sure to run a cat, guys. They always tell you when the monster's ready. All right, so that is it for now. I love you. I'll see you next time. And until then, good luck and have a good hunt.